Hi, welcome, ladies. Great to have you here for today's live conversation with one of our speakers from the Women Thrive Summit. I'm excited to have you all here because today we're talking about how I rebuilt my confidence and found my voice again with my wonderful guest today, Savannah. Hi, Savannah. How are you? Where are you joining us from today?
Hi, Raimonda. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sure you can tell by the accent that I'm joining you from England in the UK, but more specifically, I'm in Hitchin in Hertfordshire, if anybody knows where that is. And I'm really happy to report that the sun is finally shining.
Oh, I love it. UK is like, you have various seasons throughout the day. I remember those
Mhm.
days living in the UK. I was like, yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
very
no.
British to talk about the weather, so I'm sorry for that, but it's got to be documented that it feels really good. But I'm in my garden garden officey cabin at the moment, and I've got all the blinds down for the lighting. But yeah, it is really nice outside. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the summit.
Let's talk about something fun and exciting like the summit, but also your upcoming talk. So I just want to give a shout out to our audience who are watching this right now. Make sure you leave in a comment where you're joining from. Just tell us how the weather is as well, just for those Brits, who do like to chat about the weather. And today we are talking about finding your voice, finding your confidence. And really, I think this time really calls for us for women to step into our leadership. So let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. We're going to hear from Savannah about her experience of going through her own life challenges and how she found the confidence and voice and how she helps others to do the same now. So you can feel more empowered and maybe inspired to whether you want to become a speaker, whether you want to share your message out into the world or do something that you always dreamed about doing. And of course, Savannah will be one of our speakers at the Women Thrive Summit in 2026 in March. So we're going to invite you to her talk towards the end. But stick around, let us know where you're watching from. Savannah, would you give our audience a bit of introduction of who you are and what you do?
Of course. Thank you so much, Ray. So I'm Savanna and I'm a confidence coach, and I mainly serve wonderful women in business, but not just women. I do work with absolutely everybody. But predominantly my clients tend to be are female, and I help female founders, entrepreneurs, women in business to step into their leadership role within their business by finding their voice, finding their confidence, being able to lead with clarity, courage, and authenticity. And I really, really believe that because we're not all born confident, we can grow our confidence, and it can fluctuate throughout different times of our lives, and that we already have a lot of strength within us. And what my job is to find that in you, to see that in you, because I do like to think that I can see the unseen, right? I can see things in people that they can't see in themselves. That's one of my superpowers, I would say. And I just absolutely love being able to spot things within the women that I work with and be able to bring that out of them so that we can build on the things that are already there, have more skills, have more ways and different tools and techniques to tap into, basically, to evolve that. And I come from a performing arts background. I also have an award-winning theatre school that I run with an amazing coaching team and operations team who are leading everything now. And I am predominantly just the decision maker there. But I've been there in the trenches in the beginning of building a business where I was just a one-woman show, doing all the coaching, wearing all the hats, as we like to say. And I've grown and scaled that business over the last 6 years, from 12 students in a porter cabin in a car park to having over 150 students on our books. And it's now ranked in the top 10 out of the children's activity providers in the UK. So I know where people are at when they might be on the cusp of about to scale about to grow a team, about to start like handing over lots of the jobs that you've been doing for ages and are doing still really, really well and thriving with. However, I'm helping women to take that next step to then be able to grow and scale their business, delegate, lead, so that they can continue doing the things that they're really, really good at. And having been able to do that with my business, it's then allowed me to have an online coaching business and do all of this sort of work with women, which has been, I just feel like it's a calling.
Yeah, well, what a great work you're doing, and I love that you work with children as well because
Mm.
it's so it's just so heart-filling, I would say, to know that you pouring into that next generation of the youth, and they certainly do need that guidance and direction. I think in this further really signifies why we're having this conversation about finding your voice, finding your confidence, because your work is not just for yourself or, clients and professional work you're doing, but also the next generation really is counting on us to be, sort of the leaders in today's world. What inspired you to do the work that you're doing as far as supporting your coaching clients and, building their confidence up?
So the catalyst for starting my first business, my theatre school, was from my own experience of voice loss. And about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with vocal nodules, which are little growths that appear on the vocal folds, and it doesn't allow your vocal folds to vibrate together effectively to be able to produce
Wow.
clarity and produce sound. And I was diagnosed with them purely from a place of burnout. Essentially, I had just left my marriage. I had moved countries. I was in thousands of pounds worth of debt, and I was trying to get work wherever I could. So I was freelancing for lots and lots of different performing arts organizations and just saying yes to everything and really leaning into that people pleasing behavior. And I wore that workaholic badge like it was a badge of honor. Do you know what I mean? I was really proud of how hard I was working and all the graft I was putting in, but actually I was just exhausting myself and overusing my voice. And that's what my diagnosis was, that the nodules appeared from overuse. But as I delved deeper and had speech therapy, it was then also explained to me that actually this had come from an emotional response as well, because of feeling very silenced and squashed and suffocated in the relationship that I had left. And I just felt like my voice didn't matter, my opinion didn't matter. And that has been a real learning curve for me over the last sort of 10 years, as I have started one business, started a second business, and started to support other people and to serve. And I just decided that I couldn't keep continuing the level of giving that I was doing for all the other organizations. And bit by bit, as I started my own theatre school and started to grow it as I recovered, I was then able to let go of more and more freelancing work. And funnily enough, it was January 2020 when I let go of all other freelancing work. And then we all know what happened a few months after that. So I pivoted my theatre school online, but that's a whole another story. But I was still able to grow in that time, which was amazing. And I'm so forever grateful for that. So the work I do now in terms of working with adults, but it's all across the board with children as well. It doesn't matter how old you are. The things that I teach are all deep rooted across everybody in everything that I've experienced. I just tailor it to whoever I'm with, really. But it was that feeling of not being able to communicate and to be the person that I knew I was, that I just thought, I don't want other people to feel like that. And performing arts has always been something that is incredibly close to my heart. It's all I've ever known, really. So then being able to work with adults and see how confidence affects you, no matter how old you are, you know, it doesn't matter your age, your gender, the color of your skin, your sexuality, your culture background, your ethnicity, like nothing, it doesn't matter. It affects us all at some point in our lives, because, you know, I classed myself as quite a confident person before all of this happened to me. But, you know, things can chip away at you, and circumstances can creep up on you as well, and things can happen quite quickly. And yeah, I have just found that the more I work with adults, the more patterns are making themselves known to me. And that pattern is really clear, that there are hundreds of very, very capable people, very creative people, wonderful people creating incredible businesses, but they just don't have the confidence to go to the next level. I just don't think that that's what should stop you in a world where there is so much going on. There's quite a lot of chaos going on at the moment. I don't want to go into that. But, you know, there are so many wonderful people out there too who are trying to make a difference. And it just makes me sad to think that perhaps people aren't achieving their full potential because they're holding back from something. And that's particularly something as well that I've had to work through quite a lot in my own experience, where I just felt quite bitter and ashamed and angry, really, that I felt like a proportion of my 20s had been taken away from me, and that I didn't achieve loads of things in that time. And so I just felt a bit behind, you know, and I don't want anyone to feel behind. I want them to feel like they are exactly where they're supposed to be and doing the things that are going to have a great impact on others. And that's my mission, is to help more people realize their potential, step into their leadership, be able to bring in more people into their business, be able to grow their business beyond their wildest dreams, and earn a great living doing it at the same time and feel really fulfilled.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it's so powerful that you have this mission, because I've certainly met people through the work we're doing, through the platform we've built, women who have similarly either been in a really disempowering relationship, either in a family dynamics, work dynamics, or cultural dynamics, that has caused them to shrink and caused them to actually lose their voice and their confidence, and to the point of losing their identity. I've been through similar experience in my 20s, and it's hard because you don't necessarily realize that you're in it until it's almost too late. It's like silently chipping away, chipping away, chipping away until there's nothing left. Like, you may not even realize you're in a toxic situation, especially if it is to do with your family, because that's all you know, or in the culture, which seems normal until you walk away from it or you walk out of it. And then you're like, oh, hold on, that was not a healthy environment for me. No wonder I was feeling like that, or no wonder I had to constantly shrink or keep silencing myself. And that doesn't really help with you becoming the best version of yourself or fulfilling your potential. So now, Savanna, you not only coach, you have a podcast, you have a business. How has life turned around for you since you have made that decision to empower yourself truly and heal yourself from this?
Well, I think, first of all, I'm just so much happier, which is, for me, one of the most important things. I was asked a little while ago, actually, like what success meant to me. And I think balance is a really difficult word to describe, particularly in entrepreneurship, because generally speaking, I don't think many entrepreneurs really have very much balance. We're kind of like, let's go. We do work really hard. We've got really good work ethics. But for me, like, as I say, I am so much happier. I am so much more fulfilled in my life. And I also feel that I've just found the thing that I'm really good at, and I get so much gratification from. I'm so grateful that I get to be exposed to so many fantastic people on a daily basis, whether that's young people or adults, whether that's people that work within a company or run their own businesses, whoever it is. And I do love the fact that I have a very flexible working life where, because I run my own businesses, I can move things around. Only today there was a bit of an SOS call this morning to you, Ray, going, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make today because my little boy needs to get picked up from nursery. But we have made it all work today. He's being looked after by my partner, his dad. So, but I could have moved things around if other things weren't available. So having that flexibility is also really important for me. But it's more the fact that things are so fulfilling, and I particularly feel really creatively fulfilled doing things like this, having conversations, interviewing guests on my podcast is definitely one of my favorite things to do in my business, because I love doing the research first and foremost on whoever I'm bringing on to the show. I love having ideas and creating, a rough kind of script if I'm doing a solo episode. I then love the actual connection, with the guest and asking them all the questions and hearing what they've got to say, learning stuff, and being able to put that out into the world for other people to benefit from. And I actually posted about this yesterday on my social channels and wrote about it in my weekly email to my list of how, when I relaunched my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it's called Reclaim Your Voice, and I was absolutely delighted to actually have you, Ray, on the podcast, which has been utterly amazing. I wanted to chart in the business charts for that podcast, and it did make it into the top 200, which is fantastic. But I did find myself on the relaunch day kind of like checking and refreshing a little bit too much. And that evening I kind of sat with it, and I was like so proud of everything I had achieved by being able to start a podcast last April and then relaunch it again in February with a bit of a different spin. And I just sat there and I thought, why are you worried about the chart position? Like, this is still one of your favorite things to do. But more importantly, if one episode impacts one person, then that's amazing. Yeah. And one person walks away going, do you know what? So-and-so said such and such, and that has now really resonated with me. And I just feel so much less alone now. Or somebody said something that I've been wanting to do for ages, and now, just because I've just heard it just that 100th more time, that doesn't even make sense, but you know what I mean, I'm going to go and blimmin' do it, And for me, the charting, although it's great to say that you've got a charting podcast and whatever, actually for me it was a little bit of a vanity metric. And I sat with it and just thought about it. I was like, no, that is not what it's about. You are not doing all of this work, because it's a lot of work, isn't it, creating a podcast? Everything that you do. And I'm still very much doing it all myself. I do all the editing, which I find so therapeutic, by the way. I love it. I do all the production, all the assets, everything. You've obviously got to enjoy it if you're going to do all of that sort of stuff. But just putting it out there feels brave and feels like I'm contributing to this online business space and to people that are going to listen to it. And the feedback I've had with DMs, messages, whatever, has just been incredible. People have really enjoyed what I've put out so far,
Yeah.
and that's enough for me.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just been really, really, it's allowed me to be creatively fulfilled, but feel like I'm having a really good impact at the same time. And those two things, hand in hand, are what will make me an even better coach, a better presenter, a better speaker, and then therefore, because of that, more people will have even more of that impact and will be able to grow further.
Yeah.
That's great for me.
And you know, it's knowing that you consistently putting yourself out there, you consistently showing up, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for others. That consistency builds results over and over again. Once you make a commitment, like, you know, sometimes the result is not imminent. And I realized that with our podcast, with our magazine, you know, we produce it and let it out into the world, even with a book, right? We don't always get feedback. And just last week, somebody sent me an email. I Googled for a book, and your book came up, and I purchased it, I read it, and oh my God, like this was such a powerful collection of stories, and I want to write my book with you guys. Out of nowhere. I mean, the last book that we released was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no expiration date to you speaking up and creating content and speaking out into the world, because you just kind of have to know that you're on a mission, you committed for a long haul, and you do what you do because you love it. And the rest honestly will take care of itself. When it is the time, the right people will find the content. And as I say always, leave breadcrumbs. Leave those breadcrumbs on the floor for people to find it when they're ready. You don't have to be in anybody's face. You don't have to be pushing it. Just do what you do. Leave those breadcrumbs so when someone finds one, they can trace their way back to you through all the various content pieces that you have put together. And that will build that relationship and continuity and trust because you've been doing it for so long, right? If you just come up out of nowhere and you just have one podcast episode, and, you know, sometimes we just want that crazy quick result, quick fix. That's not the way it goes. You know, I've been in this industry for going to be nearly 10 years next year. So it's definitely, you know, you got to be in it for a long haul.
That's it. Totally.
Savanna, you are going to be speaking at the Women Thrive Summit. I'm thrilled to have your session actually on this very subject. What do you think people could expect from your talk at the summit?
So the aim of my talk, because it's very much like how I rebuilt my confidence and found my voice again. Of course, I'm going to share a bit of my story. However, what I really want people to feel is that it might be part of their story as well, and that they are there to absorb whatever it is that I deliver on the day, but also it's to, if they feel like they see themselves as that person, which obviously some people watching will and some people won't, because they might be in a different part of their journey. But I really want people to feel like they can resonate and see themselves in it in some way, if it relates, obviously. And I'm going to be doing a few interactive sort of things. So I will be asking people to have their cameras on if they feel comfortable and are able. I will be asking people to engage in the chat. I'll be asking questions, and it won't require lots of typing and long answers. It'll be like, put a number in the chat if this, you know, resonates, or on a scale of 1 to 10, that kind of thing. And I will also be leading a guided visualization, and we'll be doing a few practical activities. And when I say activities, I don't mean like, you know, jumping around or anything. We're just going to be doing some practical things that you can take away with you and then use later on in your day-to-day practices or whatever routines people have. But I'll also be taking you through my voice framework, which is like my signature system that I use inside my one-to-one program. And voice stands for values, ownership, identity, capacity, and expression. And yeah, I'll be taking everybody through that framework so that they have a little bit of an understanding of how those 5 things kind of piece together, and you can delve into one part of the framework on its own and get results, but you can also follow it more in some sort of order, if you like, to get even more results. And I'll be sharing my free gift at the end as well, which is a 5-day audio guided visualization series, which focuses on some breath work and some affirmations and really tapping into that reclamation of your voice, of the what I said at the beginning of this discussion about how so much of our power is already within us, but we just haven't quite had the confidence or the space or the time and capacity to be able to bring it out. And that's what my 5-day audio series does. That's what the visualization in the talk will help to, I don't want to say unlock, because everyone seems to be saying that word quite a lot, you know, but it's all about that reclamation of being able to feel more powerful and more confident with your voice in the way that you show up in your life and your business. So I'm really excited to be able to share it, because I have shared bits of this talk at other speaking events and podcasts and things like that, but I haven't ever done like a 45-minute keynote to a global audience before. So this is a first for me, which is even more exciting because I love doing new things. And I'm one of those, exception to the rule people who find being on stage and on camera like my natural habitat. I absolutely love it. And I also love stepping out of my comfort zone into that stretchy bit, that scary bit, because that's where the growth happens, right? And that's one of my other things that I like to mention.
All right. Savanna, where do people connect with you?
So I mainly hang out on Instagram. That's where I usually am, at I am Savanna Madden. But I also love connecting with people on Facebook, and you can just get me there, Savanna Madden. I don't think there's many of us around, so I think I'm quite easy to find.
Amazing. Well, do make sure you connect with Savanna. If you do have a question, maybe you want to explore a conversation, maybe you share some experiences with Savanna, to make sure you reach out. I just want to let you know that our speakers' DMs are always open for you to reach out, to start that conversation, because you never know where just one conversation could lead to. And before we close out for today, I just want to remind you to go ahead to womentthrivesummit.com, register for your spot. We have free tickets available to attend our virtual event, which is happening 16th to the 20th of March. And this is our annual Women Empowerment event of the year. And we cover subjects on confidence building, claiming your voice, personal branding, visibility, public speaking, finances, and so many other subjects that are going to be inspiring and also empowering for our women to hear and participate in these conversations. Of course, we are also going to have some networking opportunities for you. You can join our private community as well as enjoy our panels where you can ask questions. So you are not going to be a passive listener. You're actually going to be involved in a conversation. This is why this particular event is so powerful and transformational, because you truly get to participate and take action live as the speakers come on to the virtual stage to share their insights with you. So make sure you are there. Savanna, thank you so much. I'm excited to have you speak at the Women Thrive Summit this March. I know your session is going to be amazing and super engaging. I mean, the subject is, as you know, close to my heart, and I think it's time for our women to really reclaim their voice and be the voice in today's society, because we truly need more women leaders in today's environment.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me, Ray.
Great to have you. And to all of our audience, if you have watched all of this, please make sure you share it with your social media followers because we want to reach as many women as we can. You never know who may need to hear this conversation. Maybe somebody could really benefit from it. So go ahead and share it now with your social media followers and leave a comment below. Let us know if you watched this on a replay or even watched it live. So thank you for being here. Tap into other daily interviews as we're running up to the summit. So every day we're streaming live, interviewing our speakers so you can get to know them, understand a little bit about their stories and what they're going to be sharing during the Women Thrive Summit. Great to have you all here, and we look forward to seeing you again on another live. Take care for now. Bye.